Hi everyone. As usual, I'm going to begin by saying I need to keep this concise for the obvious reasons. Number one, so you can review it quite quickly, sorry, and because it's easier to load if they're shorter. Okay, what I'm doing on this video is addressing the apology, and I think this is especially important because even though the apology is not especially complicated, it's very rich. And what I want to do is make sure that we're all clear about the 5 or 6 main points. Okay, moving into it very quickly here. The first thing that I want to say is that the apology is not an apology in our sense. Socrates is not saying he's sorry, he's not apologizing, he's not regretting anything. On the contrary, what he's doing is he is justifying the value of exactly what he did. He's like his own defense attorney, saying that in fact he is not just somewhat innocent, but totally innocent, and in a deep and ethical way innocent. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two is it is in the apology where we see one of the clearest and most interesting accounts of what philosophy here is, and the part that I want to draw your attention to is the question-answer part between Plato, the artists, the politicians, and the craftsmen. And what you need to see here is there's give and take, and he's not just speaking doctrines and defining concepts. He's not telling them what life means. He's talking to them about their lives and their experiences. Okay, there's a word for this in philosophy. It's called dialectic. That is to say, coming to terms with something through reasoning. Okay, so that's point number two. Point number three is the kind of discussions that occur, and these discussions are really about one thing, and that is the meaning of people's lives. And that's, I think, one of the great things that you want to be attentive to is philosophy is not just random discourse. It's not really daily discourse, although daily discourse can play a certain role in it, but it's fundamental questions about why people are doing things and what their lives mean. Okay, that's point number three. Point number four has to do with what we saw in the cave. There's almost always going to be resistance to this. That is to say, the poets, the craftsmen, and the politicians don't just say, oh, Socrates, my life means this. They have their own version of it. Socrates wants to talk to them about it. And so there's an inherent resistance here. Now, of course, the whole apology is about the resistance of the Athenians to the person and the doctrines of Socrates. So resistance is built into this. That is opposition, conflict, and aggression. Okay, as we have seen. The fifth major point is that the philosophy is about what Socrates calls care for the soul, and this is sort of maybe even the deeper sense of what philosophy is. That the operant phrase here is the unexamined life is not worth living. For Socrates, unless you're questioning other people and yourself, you're not truly living. This is what humans do. I mean, this is how they care for the soul. This is what the soul is. Okay, that's the fifth point. The sixth point is, I think, equally important, is one that I'm very fond of. That is, philosopher is the gadfly. The gadfly is an irritant. That is, the idea is the gadfly sits on the horse and bothers the horse. Okay, this is what the philosopher does. The philosopher, in questioning about the meaning of life, in insisting on the value of caring for one's soul, ends up irritating people because the body politic or the society tends to be on a wrong path and a hesitant path. Philosophers want to wake the horse up, they want to wake the society up and bring them to the full measure of life. Okay, so that's in a few words, that's what philosophy is. Philosophy is a form of questioning that tends to pit the philosopher against the status quo, with the goal being to awaken people to live their lives more fully. I mean, in a way, it's kind of simple. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to point out as I conclude here is, remember this, there's this changes or is filtered from society to society, and from historical period to historical period. So it's always a little bit different. But as I have been, explaining, I think there's a deep unity to philosophy. Okay, I hope that helps. We did it in 5 minutes this time.